Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you all for being here today. And Chairman Pai, in regards to consultation with Indian tribes, I commend those activities, and I hope you continue to do them. I think there are a lot of agencies within government that don't understand consultation. I think it's really important, so I appreciate you doing that. Being down the line and asking questions, I got to hear a lot of conversation about the maps. The maps stink, basically. And I don't know that the process that you've got to take care of the maps is going to work. In other words, I'm sitting here thinking, if I get a text to go out, does that mean I have coverage? And if I get a text to go out on one side of my house but not on the other side of my house, does that constitute coverage? If it's a voice call and the same thing, does that constitute coverage? Because quite frankly, that's exactly my world. I can send texts depending on where the sun is in the sky, basically. And I can get voice calls sometimes depending on which direction I'm driving the tractor, okay? So in rural America, whether you're talking about Montana or South Dakota or anywhere else, that's where it's at, and we've got to get those maps very quickly. I agree with Jessica. It will result in a big spending of a lot of money that will be unnecessarily spent. The other thing I would say in regards to the robocalls, you had said that you've been very aggressive on this issue. I can tell you personally, and my constituents have seen an incredible increase of robocalls over the last couple of years. I don't know if that's because of the D.C. Circuit Court decision or some other reason, but we got to shut them down. They are an incredible nuisance, and whatever you can do, and if you need more jurisdiction from us, please let us know, because I don't think anybody around this circle in a bipartisan way would not give you the power you need to shut this stuff down, because it is incredibly a big nuisance. The other thing I would just say, and this is a question, it deals with 5G. I am happy that 5G, that Verizon's going into Indianapolis. I am very concerned that it'll never come to Montana. We have advocated to put 5G into our biggest town, Billings, yet we have gotten no response whatsoever. So here's my question. As we work to get 5G, and I think all of us want to have 5G throughout the country, what happens to the places who have no G?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question, Senator. This is part of the reason why I'm so passionate about rural broadband, is that I believe 5G could, in fact, help us close that digital divide. I recently met with Ted Rappaport.
So here's the question, though. Yeah. So we invest 5G in Indianapolis and Houston and Miami and New York City and LA and San Francisco. You're getting the drift? Mm-hmm. We still don't have a G where I live. What happens there? Are we still going to invest to build out those systems?
Senator, that's precisely the reason why we've been modernizing our rules to build that business case for 5G in rural areas, to get the infrastructure in place, to get the spectrum out there, to allow carriers, especially small ones like VTEL that I referenced in my statement about rural Vermont. This enables them to make the investments to get rural 5G, to make rural 5G a reality.
I think it's going to take more than rules. It's going to take some sort of a push, to be honest with you. Because as we talked before the hearing started, we all get pushed to population centers because of this is the way it works. That's where the people live. But the truth is we've got to figure out some way to push out service into rural America. And so in that regard, what is the FCC's definition of rural?
We have a variety of, we have a definition that's pretty arcane. I'd be happy to share it with you afterward. I can't remember the specific language.
Is it 500,000 people?
No, no. It's essentially, it tracks some other agencies' definitions of rural, and so I can't remember the specific definition off the top of my head.
Well, I mean, I just think it's really important as you guys go through your rule-making process. We will never get 1G if we're focused on 5G in Houston.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't be focused on 5G. Go ahead.
Well, I want to say that's the purpose of Mobility Fund Phase 2, is to get everyone to 4G. And so the money that we're spending and why the maps are so important and the challenge process that I asked for, that is to get everyone to 4G.
Yep. But let me tell you, you're never going to get your maps done with your challenge process. And I will tell you why.
I don't disagree. No, I don't
Because
disagree.
I'm one of those guys that don't have it, and I don't even understand the damn challenge process.
No, I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
We've had some problems with the challenge process. I'm glad there is a challenge process. I wanted a more robust one.
If there's one thing, and I never want to put words in the committee's mouth, that I heard here today, the maps stink, and we've got to be more proactive about getting them fixed, and you can't depend on the Kansas Farm Bureau to do it.
No, I agree. I think one of the things we need to do is work with the providers. We've been trying to answer the question.
The problem is the providers created this problem by showing you a map that covered in red. Where I live, it's covered in red. There ain't even pink where I live.
I guess I should have said providers, I should outside parties. There are many who are working in the challenge process.
Okay.
We've tried to answer the question for them rather than
right.
work with them.
Okay, just one real quick thing, and by the way, I do appreciate, this is very parochial. Do you have a bunch of staff behind you? I assume you do. Raise your hands. No? No staff? Damn it. I am.
They're afraid to raise their hands.
They're afraid to raise their hands. We've got a situation with a Woodman school and with the Missoula School District. We all talked about healthcare and schools, how important broadband is. These folks still aren't getting their service. They need it. One of them's a rural school. One of them's not, by Montana standards, a rural school, but it's a rural school too by national standards. I'd appreciate if your staff would take a look at Woodman and Missoula County schools to make sure that they get what they need so our kids can get a fair shake in a 21st century economy.
Happy to do that, Senator. If I might very, very briefly, just in response to the previous issue.
Yep.
Here's the fundamental issue on Mobility Fund Phase 2.
Yep.
Right now, we are spending over $300 million every year to subsidize a fourth, a fifth, or even a sixth competitor in a part of the country that already has private investment. And the evidence suggests that states like Montana are getting short shrift. They don't get any money through that process. That's why we're trying to engage in this process.
I got to tell you, that's why I wondered about, and I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, your definition of rural, because we've got a situation in Montana where an outfit, and I'll call them out by name because they're not doing their job, Frontier got money 2 years ago. They haven't spent it. And Libby has no service. And so even the places that do have a provider aren't spending the money to get it out. We got to kick somebody's ass, truthfully. So thank you. Thank you for your work, by the way, all of you.
We'll certainly consider that figuratively, Senator.
Thank you.